Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Today, I would like to take you through plane figure, what plane figure or what plane figures are. But last week, what we did was we look at conversion of numbers to standard forms. But today we are moving on to different thing, and I would like to take you through what plane figures are, and then look at some basic properties and some basic formulas that can help us to find area and perimeter of these figures. So okay, so when you say plane figure, they are just flat two-dimensional figures or objects. Let's say when you have something like this is a plane figure because you have just two dimensions. You have the height and then you have the length. So this one, we see it just two dimension. We are not considering this one is just two dimension. There's no thickness, just two dimension base is what we call a plane figure. But when you pick a paper, let's say this paper is not a plane figure, though you could see that when you place a paper here, it seems to be a plane figure, but there is thickness here. So that makes a paper not a plane figure. But any object or any figure that is in two dimensions is what we call a plane figure. When you have three dimensions, it's no more a plane figure. Then you talk about solid figure. So what are some of these plane figures? So let's say we have this board, and then I decided to join three lines or 3 points with a line. Let's say this one, this, and this. And I join them. Then I have this plane figure. So this plane figure is what we call triangle. Triangle. And then when I join this line to this, then to this, then to this, then I have a rectangle. So plane figures are just joining points on a plane or on a surface to get an enclosed figure. You see this one, we move from here, let's say A, B, C, D. So these are the points. So I decided to join these points with this, and this with that, and this with that, then back to A. So I'll be able to enclose this particular area or this particular portion. So that's basically what a plane figure is. Okay, so now let's look at some of the properties of a plane figure by finding the parameter and the area. So basically, I will just give a brief what a parameter is and what an area is, and then we look at one or two examples and solve some BECE question. So with these two, let's say this one is our first plane figure, this is our second plane figure, right? Okay, so when we talk of perimeter, perimeter is just like standing at this point, walk from here to here, and here to here, from here to here, then here to here. So perimeter is just like a whole. It measures the length of the figure. Like you walk from here to here, plus this, plus that. So that's what a perimeter is, and it's just in one dimension with it because we are just adding this. Let's say this is 4, this is 2, this is 4, this is 2. So when you walk from here to here, plus from here to here, from here to here, from here to here, then you have your parameter. So circle is also what's a plane figure. So when you want to find a parameter of a circle, you stand at a point, then you walk or you move, then you complete your movement. So when you complete your movement, the total distance covered is what we call perimeter. So in circle, we normally say a circumference of a circle, a circumference of a circle. So these are some of the plane figures that we are going to discuss today. But before then, we have to look at some properties of this plane figure. First of all, I'll just pick um, this triangle. We are just going to look at a general property of what a triangle is. So that when you have a figure which is triangle, and then you know what to do. So triangle is just three-sided plane figure. We have this side, and this side. But one thing is, before you can calculate the area of a triangle, then you have to know the nomenclature of the triangle or the properties. So you have the base, which is this one, and then it has what? A height. Let's say, let me show you this one. So this is the height of the triangle, and then this one is the base. This one is the base. So that is the brief description of triangle. Let's look at rectangle. How does it look like? So this picture here or this figure here is rectangle. You see, this side AB is equal to CD. That is, two opposite sides are equal. Two opposite sides are equal. So what are the opposite sides? The opposite side you have AB and then CD. They are equal. And then AC and then D, they are equal. So the basic nomenclature or characteristics of rectangle is that two opposite sides are equal. Okay, let's look at another type of a plane figure. Circle is a plane figure. So for the basic nomenclature of a circle, we mostly consider what we call a radius of the circle. For we can measure the length of the circle or an area of a circle, then we have to look at its radius. So the radius is you stand at the point, the center, say O, and then a distance to the circumference of the circle. So the distance between a point or the center of a circle and to the circumference of the circle is what we call a radius. So this one is a radius. A radius. And then when you have two radius, double of the radius will give you the diameter. So diameter is just a straight line passing through the center to the ends of the circumference. So this is basically three forms of plane figure. Then we have this special rectangle called square. So square is a special rectangle with equal size. So when you have A, B, C, and D, this is a special rectangle because all the sizes are equal. AB is equal to AC, and then CD is equal to AD. This is not drawn up to scale, though, but a square is a special rectangle with equal length or size. Okay, we also have other form of plane figures. Because plane figure is just joining lines to enclose an area. So when I have something like this, we have this, I have this, I've drawn this and that, then I've come across what we call another plane figure. say A, E, C, D. So this one is for parallelogram. So we have these two lines being parallel, this also parallel. And then the two sizes are, the two opposite sides are also equal, as in case of this. And then we have the rhombus, we have the kites, and then we have the trapezoid. But today, I will concentrate on these basic ones, and other time we work on what trapeziums and other styles are. But this one, from this, you can get other plates. Okay. So now let's look at some examples and then formulas. Let's look at some of the formulas of these plane figures. So I will start with a rectangle. So you have this rectangle. And then don't forget we have, as I mentioned earlier, we have this property of a rectangle that two opposite sides are equal. So if two opposite sides are equal, and this one, the length, let's say, is L, and then this one is what? The width or the height, actually. So if this one is W, then this is also W, and this is also what? Like L, length. And let's pick what a perimeter is. As I mentioned earlier, the perimeter is the total length of a plane figure. So when you move from A to B, B to D, D to C, and back to A. So when you are able to cover those total length, then we call it perimeter. So let's look at it, how we were able to come up with this formula. So perimeter of rectangle or rectangular object is equal to, so we will add this L plus W plus L, this L plus W, because we move from here to this point, back to this, and then back to our starting point, so that we can cover every part. So with this, we have L plus W plus L plus W. So what we do is we group like that. So this implies that we have L plus L plus W plus W. Since these are like them, we can operate on them. So we have L plus L will give us 2L, and then W plus W will give us 2W. So at the end, we have 2L plus 2W. And this one, we have a common factor. So we can decide to factor 2 out. So when you factor 2 out, we have 2 multiplying L plus W. So this gives us a formula for a rectangle when you are finding a perimeter. So this is the formula for finding the perimeter of a rectangle. So anytime you have a question that's about perimeter, this one should come to your mind if the object in question is a rectangle. Okay, let's move to another figure. So how will the perimeter of a square looks like? How would it be? We all know that square is what? A special form of what? Rectangle. With all the sides being equal. So you just place all the sides with one variable. So if this is L, so you have L plus L plus L plus L. So if you have 4L adding, then at the end you have 4L. So perimeter for square is 4L. So perimeter of square square 4L. 4L, where L is what? The length. It can be 4L, 4A, 4B. We are just representing the length with a letter. That's all. There's nothing new here. Okay, now let's move to um, triangle. So when we look at this figure, we have this rectangle. So out of rectangle, I can get what we call triangle by dividing it diagonally. So when I decided to split this shape like this, then I have this rectangle. And this rectangle will give us a special name called rectangle triangle. So let's say I have this. I've divided my triangle into two. So now I have this. The rectangle into two, I have this triangle. So what is a basic property or nomenclature of triangle as I stated? I said we have the height and then we have the base. So this one will be the height, this one will be the base. So let's assume that this is the whole area, but we are just finding this small portion. And you know the formula for finding rectangle, right? So when you add this, like this, like this, like this, you find the perimeter of a rectangle. But for this one, the perimeter is not difficult. We are just adding the length, so we will not bother much. But I'll come back when we are deriving the formula for area. So this one, the perimeter will give us the total length. Perimeter is just the total length. So perimeter of triangle is equal to AB, length AB plus length BC plus length CA. So this will give us the perimeter of this. Okay, so that's basically what the perimeter is. And then a circle, we call it the circumference of the circle. So that will be circle. And then we all know that the basic nomenclature is what? The radius. The radius. But to find the circumference of this circle, we take into consideration of what we call pi. Pi is always given, so don't worry about the derivation of pi. So we have C equal to 2 pi r, where r is what? The radius, and then the pi is always given. So this is what we call the circumference of the circle. Circumference of the circle is the same as the perimeter, finding the perimeter of the circle. Okay, so now let's move to, okay, let me give one example on perimeter so that you can, okay, then let me give you the formulas for the area so that I will combine the two names. We saw one or two examples. So now, what is area? Area is, we are just looking at the region enclosed by this figure. See, when you have this figure, this is a rectangle. So the area is, we are just looking at this region. The total space occupied by this figure. That's what we call the area. So the area is simply, we are multiplying this by this to get our area. Because with this, and one thing, unless before I forget, perimeter is measured in, it could be in centimeters, meters, millimeters, or kilometers, or whatever, without a square, because we are just dealing with just one dimension. We are just moving like this. But when you come to area, you are multiplying this side by this. That means 2. So let's say we are multiplying W centimeter times L centimeter. We have 2 centimeter. Centimeter multiplying centimeter will give you what? Centimeter square. It's like 2 times 2 is the same as 2 square. That's why area is measured in 2 or in square. So this one you have something like W times L centimeter square. That's why area is measured in square. So when you multiply this and this, is the same as um, finding the area. So formula for finding the area of a rectangle. Area of a rectangle is equal to L times W. L times W. And it's measured in units square. Okay, let's find out one of the area of um, triangle. So we have this triangle here. So the basic nomenclature of a triangle is what? The base and what? The height. So we have these two methods. So we want to find the area of this is this times this. And then this times this will give you what? Area of what? A rectangle. Right? But this one is a half of a rectangle. That's why in the formula for finding the area of a rectangle, we have A equal to half times H times 3. Because when you have this, you are just taking half of this rectangle. So that's why we have this half multiplying or dividing 2 by 2. Because we are just taking half. So half area of this is half times height times base. Okay. So this one also applies to any other form of rectangle. So let's say we have this. We have A, B, C. So where is our base? These are base, and these are other sides. So first of all, we have to find what the height. So we do this the height from the apex to the. So this one will give you as the height. So when you know this and then the height, then you find the area of this particular triangle. So that is basically this. So the area of a triangle is half times height times base. Okay, let's look at that one of the circle. I decided to take these three plane figures and talk about it. So we have this one, the circle, and then as you know, circle we have this as a radius. So who can tell me the formula for a circle? As I said, the pi is always given. So we have this radius and then the pi. So area of a circle will be equal to this pi r squared. So it should be in your mind that the area of a circle is pi r squared. So these are some of the basic plane figure that you may come across. Maybe next week I will consider other form of uh, plane figures. So let's pick one or two examples and let's look at how it works. Okay. Okay, the first question is find the area of a square whose perimeter is 8. So very simple. Find the area of a square whose perimeter is, let's say, 80 centimeters. So this one, you have been asked to find area of a square whose perimeter is what? 80. And then we know that square is what? A special rectangle with all sides being equal. So let's assume that this is my square. So when I represent this side A, it means this side is also equal to A, is equal to A. This one is also equal to A, and this one is also equal to A. And we know that perimeter P is equal to the total distance covered by this figure. So you have A plus A plus A plus A, which is the same as 4A. So you have the perimeter to be 4A. But then you have been told that the perimeter is what? 80. It means you are going to equate this one to 8 to find the length or the size of this square. So you have 4A equals to 8 centimeters. So what are we looking for? We are looking for what? The size, which is A. So divide 2 by A, divide 2 by A. So here we have A equal to, by 4. 4 goes to 8, 2. And then this one is 0. 4 divided by 0 is 0. So we have 20. So one side of the square gives us 20. But we know that square has equal sides. So all the sides are 20 centimeters. So this one you have 20 centimeters. The unit is very important. Okay, so now we know the length, then you can go ahead and find the area. So the area is basically multiplying heights by the base, or just multiplying width by the length. But since square has equal length, then we have area to be equal to this A times this A, which is the same as A squared. But what do you know? We know that A is equal to 20. So we have 20 times 20, which is the same as 20 squared. So 20 times 20, you have 2 times 2 is what? 4. Then you add these two zeros. So you have 400 square. It should be square because we have centimeter multiplying centimeter. It gives us square. So that's basically what the first example looks like. Okay. Let's look at one more example. Let's assume that your dad or your mom is owning a land, a piece of land, and then she wanted to employ laborers to clear that land for her. But one issue is, let's say one meter of the land being cleared cost her, let's say 0.4 or 0.25 Ghana cedis. So your mom has this size of the land, and then she wanted to know how much will cost her if she employs those guys to clear everything. So you are a student, and then let's say she presented this problem to you. How are you going to deal with it? So these are some of the applications of area and parameter. It's not limited to this alone. We have a lot of application of this. So we are not just learning it for BEC, but for our daily activities. So let's take one example and see how you are going to help your mom out. You find the cost and then
We have the impetus to put on the line.
okay. So let's assume that your mom's land is rectangular in shape. It's rectangular in shape. So we have examples. So let's say the length and breadth or width. The length and breadth of the field, which is rectangular, of rectangular field or land. So these are the lengths. So let's assume that the size of your mom's plots or field is this 3.27.23.7 meters, and the width to be 14.5 meters. So this is the size or the length of your mom's land. The longest side is 23.7 meters, and then the shortest side, or the other first side is 40.5. So the first of all, this is the land that your mom has. Let's say it's a garden, a backyard garden. And then she has bought this wire to fence the whole of this place. So the first question is, find barbed wire required to find the field. So she wants to find the field. So first of all, you have to tell your mom the length of the barbed wire. So find I. Barbed wire required to fence the entire plot, the entire field or plot is a land. So your job is to estimate the total length of wire that she needed for her to fence the entire plot. And then the second problem is, we want to find the total area of the land. So, total area of the land. She wants to know the area of the land. And then the third problem for your mom is the cost. At the end of the day, when she employs people, how much is she going to pay? So the third question is, okay, let's rest that one for next question. I'd like to put that one on the next one. So let's solve this one. And then we can take one more example and we call it a day. So how are you going to solve or help this person out? This, let's say you are a gardener, you have this plot. So solution. And best thing is, when you have problem like this, try to capture your problem in form of figures. Try to draw something, put down something so that it will give you general idea of what is happening. So first of all, the scenario is what? A rectangular field. A rectangular field means it's like a rectangle. So this is the field. So the length, let's say point A, point B, C, and point D. And then the length is 23.7 meters, right? And then the width is what? 14.5 meters. So this is your field. And the question is, find the length or estimate the barbed wire required to find the entire field. So it means before you can find this, you have to stand here, extend the wire to this point, to this point, to this point, and back to this point. So this one basically gives you the idea of calls for the finding the perimeter of what? A rectangle. So this question is just finding the perimeter of a rectangle, because we are going to cover the total length of this field or this plot. So let's see, barbed wire is equal to the perimeter of the field, right? So now we apply how to find the perimeter of a rectangle. So we know the formula already, which is P equal to 2 multiply the length plus the breadth, where L is the length and then breadth is the B. So we just substitute your value. So we have P is equal to 2 multiplying the length is what? 23.7 plus 14.5 meters. So first of all, you can deal with the one in the bracket first. This plus this will give you 2, 12, and the one. This like this, 7, and 8, and then this like this will give me 3. So this one times 2 will also give me 2 times 2 is what? 4. Then the dot, 2 times 8 is 16. 6, remember 1, 2 times 3 is what? 6 plus 1 is 7. So you need a wire length 76.4 meters long for you to be able to fence the plot. So if you are going to buy this wire, you just tell your mom you need this length so that your mom will not waste money to buy something like 100 or sometimes. This one will just give you the accurate length that you need to cover. Okay, the next problem is you should find the area of the land. So as this is the land, so what is the area? You just multiply this by this, and then this one will give you the area. So let me write the area here. So area will be equal to length and breadth. So the same as 23.7 meters times 14.5 meters. So let's do the multiplication over here. You have this 23. Let's multiply each point by 10 so that we will remove the decimals and then we will bring it back. So you have 37 times 145. 5 times 7, 35, and like 3. 5 times 3, 15, plus 3, 8. 18, and 1. 5 times 2, 10, plus 1, 11. Then this side we have 4 times 7, 28. 8, and 2, 4 times 3 is 12, plus 2, 14, and 1. 4 times 2, 8, plus 1, 9. Then the last one, then 1 times this, 7, 3, 2, then add everything. You have 5, 8 plus 8, 16, plus 7, 23, 3 and 2. This plus this is 5, plus this 8, plus 2, which is 10, 0. Then this one, 10, 12, 13. So at the end of the day, you have 13, 0, 3, 5. But don't forget that you multiply 2 by what? 10. So 10 times 10 is so you move 1, 2. So you have 130.35 meter square. So this is the area for the field. This is the area for the field. So this is how most of the time the questions like comes up. Sometimes you will be given a perimeter, then you ask to find one length. Sometimes you give you area. So whatever the question may be, you have to just understand the basic properties of these languages. So let me pick one more example so that we got it. Okay. So this will be our third example. Third example. Number 3. So you have the perimeter. So the perimeter for a rectangular field. So here, rectangular. Let's see, plot of land. Whose length? So these are the length. Whose length? Whose length is 2x plus 5 meters. And then breadth or width. Is s minus 10 meters. So the perimeter is to find I. The area of the plot. So first question is find the area of the plot. Plot 2. The value. You first of all find the value of x before you can find the value of your plot. Then the third one is cost of weeding. So let's say the land is bushy and then you more want to employ someone to weed the land. the land at say 0.5 Ghana cedis as 50% per the 1 meter. Or per meter square. The same as per meter square. So this is another problem that I want us to go through. So the question says the perimeter of a rectangular land or plot of land of the size whose length is this, and then width is x minus 10 meters. So the perimeter here is 80 meters. So the question is asking us to find the value for x and then the area. And then the last question is, we want to know the total cost if you want to reach this plot of land with a given rate. So solution. Just come up with our key thing. So first of all, the plot of land is what? Rectangular. So you can just draw something like this. So let's assume that this is our land and it's rectangular. And then the length is what? 2x plus 5 meters. With the width or the breadth being x minus 10 meters. So this is our land. And then the total distance we want to walk around the land is what we call the perimeter, which is equal to 80 meters. 80 meters. So the question is, what is the value for x? This x we don't know. We don't know this x. So we are finding the value for x. But the information we have so far is we know the perimeter of the plot. So first of all, we put down the formula for finding perimeter of rectangle, which is what? 2L plus W. And this P is equal to what? 80. 80 meters. So now we know our value for L. So we just substitute. So we have 2x plus 5 meters plus s minus 10, and it should give us 80 meters. So first of all, this is a bracket. So let's deal with the bracket by removing the bracket by multiplying everything through by 1 to 2. So this one can also be written as 2 times 2x plus 5. Let's forget about the meter when we are done. Then we bring our. So we have 2, then x minus 10 equal to 8. Okay, I hope you are okay with the question. Take out the question. So we have this. We can expand this. 2 multiplying 2x will give us 4x plus 2 times 5 will give us 10 plus 2 times x, 2x. 2 times negative 10 will be negative 20, and this one is equal to 8. So grouping like 10, then we have 4x plus to x. Then we send all the constants to the other side. So you have 10, which is positive. So when I want this one to be 0, I'll subtract 10 from 10. So I'll do it both sides. So minus 10. And then this side is positive. When I want this one to be 0, I'll add 20. So I'll add 20 to both sides, so plus 20. So from here, we have this one, they are like them, so I can operate on them. So I have 6x equal to minus 20. Minus 10 plus 20 will give us positive 10. So plus 8 will give us 90. So what are we looking for? We are looking for the value for what? X. So we divide through by what? 6. 6. 6 goes to the base of 1. And then 6 goes to 9, how many times? 1. Remainder 3. So you add a 3 to this, making 30. 6 goes to 30, how many times? 15. So our S here is what? 15. So if you want to know your total length, then you place, wherever you see X, you place your 15 there. So this one will give us 2 times 15, 30 plus 5, will give us 35 at the length, and this one will give us 5 at the width. Okay, so let's move to the second question. The second question says we should look for the area. And I know by now everyone knows how to calculate for the area. Just multiply the length by the breadth. So now let's find our length by substituting our values for x, or value for x. So length will be equal to 2, x is what? 15. 5 meters, which is equal to 30 plus 5, 35 meters. And then width is 15 minus 10, which is equal to 5. So you have these two values. So finding the area is just multiplying these two sides. Just multiplying these two sides. So area will be equal to length times width, which is the same as our 35 here meters times 5. So we have meters multiply meters, so that one will give us meters squared. We have meters squared here. 5 times 5 give us 25. So 5, remember 2. 3 times, okay, plus 2. So we have 85. So 25. 3 times 5 gives us 50 plus 2 is 72. So 175. So the total area of hair plot is 175 meters. 175 meters. So how can we find the cost of clearing the land? So your mom has realized that the land is like it's really like a lot of weeds. So she decided to employ someone to clear her land for. But the person decided to charge per meters. So your mom, she is not aware, she don't know how to deal with it. So she has presented this problem to you because she knows that you are the one in school. So she has asked you, how much is she going to pay at the end of the day? So you have to do an accurate job so that no one will cheat your money. So how are we going to deal with that? We know that the total area of the land is 175, and per unit or per meter square is 50 pesos. So if the person clears 1 meter, 50 pesos. So at the end of the day, when the person is able to play, was able to play the number, how much are you going to pay him? So let's look at how to work it out. This one is okay. So we have this 1 meter is equal to 0.5 Ghana cedis. So 175 meters will be equal to what? So this one you can tackle in two ways. You can use ratio and proportion. But I'm just going to give you straightforward. If 1 meter square is 0.5, how much would it be? So you just multiply this by that so that you get your total cost. So total cost of weeding will be equal to 175 times the amount charged, so 0.5 Ghana cedis. 0.5 Ghana cedis. So this one is the same as 175 times 102. So let's use long division to get our answer. So we have this 175, and then you have 2. So 2 cannot divide 1, right? So let's move to the second number, please. So we have 17. 2 goes to 17 how many times? 8 times, right? 2 times 18. 8 will give us 16, sorry. So we have 8. So 2 times 8 is 16. Then you find a difference. So this one you have 1. Then you add the remaining number. So we have 15. 2 goes to 15 how many times? 7. Right? So 7 times 2 will give us 14. So when you find the difference, you have 1. And then 2 cannot go to 1. So you introduce your decimals and then you place as 0. So 2 goes to 10 or 5. 2 times 5, 10. So when you find the difference, 0. So then you stop. So our final solution is now 87.5 Ghana cedis. So your mom, she has to pay 87 Ghana cedis, 87.5. That is 87 Ghana cedis, 50 pesos. If the person is able to play the number. So this is how sometimes you can use what you are learning in the classroom to solve your daily problem. So okay, this how far we can go for the day, and then I think next week we'll continue with other playing figures and then try to find a total surface area when you are having these solid figures. Okay, so stay safe, learn, practice more examples, go through the past questions, and then try to solve all questions under areas and parameter. Okay, see you next week. Bye.